Hello, beautiful people. Hope everybody's had a great week. I want to say thank you guys very much for watching and giving me feedback. You guys are really awesome. So thank you very much for that. And let's get down to business. In the news this week, a lot of politics. We're right around the corner from an election. So get out there and vote. Make your voice heard. I know it's easy to say you're only one person. Your voice doesn't matter. Your vote doesn't matter. But it certainly does matter. So get out and vote. I won't tell you who to vote for, but I will encourage you to vote for policy. Don't vote for a person. Very often people will vote for a person, but the idea is not, that's not what the idea behind our political system is meant to be. You're supposed to be voting for policy. And I will tell you that direction determines destination. So, whatever direction you want to see this country go is the direction you should be voting for. Um, like I said, I'm not necessarily in love with what we're dealing with right now, but the idea is to get us going in whatever direction you see fit or whatever direction you see right. So, make it a point to get out and vote, make your voice heard. Those votes do matter, and it is really important. Just remember that I was one of these people, for example, that always thought that there was just some perfect answer out there somewhere. And I think a lot of people think the same thing. They want to change our political system. There's a lot of people that want to be a democratic socialist nation. A lot of people want to be a communist nation. A lot of people want different types and different forms of government. And I think this, to me, whatever political ideology you follow, the idea that there's a perfect solution out there is just childlike and naive. There is not a perfect political system out there. The idea is to design a system that works fair and evenly for everybody. And it is my belief that our political system is good. It's just the people that run it are bad, essentially. Not all of them, but many of them. So our political system has been used and abused, and lots of loopholes and things like that. And lifelong politicians, which is not how our system was designed to have lifelong politicians. Being a politician was not meant to be a career. So we've got some issues, we've got some problems that need to be fixed. But I think setting the whole thing on fire and starting over might be an issue, might be a problem. The United States has brought prosperity to more people around the globe than any other nation in any other time in history. So, do we have issues? Yes. Do we have problems? Yes. Has it been perfect from the get go? Absolutely not. Um, everybody's got their own, everybody's got skeletons in the closet, and this country's got plenty of skeletons. But the idea is that we have to start from where we are with what we have, and we got to get going in a collective direction. So, get out there and vote, make your voice heard. And like I said, please do not vote for a person. Please vote for policy. And like I said, direction determines destination. So whatever direction you want to see this thing go in the next 4 years, is the direction I would recommend you vote for. With that being said, kind of staying on the topic of perfection and compromise, I'm one of these people that spent a lot of time, especially when it came to like business or even my personal relationships, thinking that there was a perfect scenario out there, that if I just fine tuned the business enough that it would be perfect, or that if I kept looking for the perfect woman that I would find her. When in reality, there's just no such thing. There is no perfect woman out there. There is no perfect business out there. But I spent a lot of time and energy chasing perfection, and at some point it sort of it dawned on me. I don't know if it was just through experience or exhaustion, maybe, that I realized that I would much rather accept progress in place of perfection. It was more important to me that I kept moving forward and kept building and kept growing, even if it was not a perfect ending or a perfect result, or if it didn't look exactly like the way I thought it was going to in the beginning. So that's kind of tying that into the politics thing. That's just where we are. Like, there is not a perfect solution, and we think that if we just upend and uproot this political system, that we can just flip a coin, pick another political system, and that somehow, some way, that system is going to be perfect. And that's just not true. And like I said, it's kind of like a childlike naivety that you're going to have a perfect anything. So I spend a lot of time and energy chasing perfection, particularly in business, trying to find the perfect answer, the perfect solution. And it was really exhausting, and it was really disappointing, because when you chase perfection, you will find that it doesn't exist. So it will wear you down, and it will cause you to run your battery, and you'll be completely depleted, chasing this idea of a perfect scenario that's perfect for everybody out there. And as I get older, I'm a slow learner. Like I pick up things very slowly. I have to, learn the same lesson over and over and over before it finally sticks. So even at my age, I see people that are, my age or older that I would just expect to know this also. And it doesn't seem like they do. It seems like many people walk around with the idea that there's perfection out there somewhere. And it could be something simple, could be something big like politics or a government or something like that. So when I say something little, I'll give you a couple examples that happened this week. That we have an animal shelter here locally, and at this animal shelter, obviously, in my mind, the goal number one is to help and rescue and save as many animals as you possibly can, and then to adopt them out. So that's goal number one is healthy animals, rescue them, save them, and then find them homes. That to me is like the goal. So recently we had a situation. I'll give you a short story. A lady had come in to adopt a cat, filled out the application, and on the application it asked if you had intentions to declaw the cat, and the lady had intended on declawing the cat, so she checked that box. Long story, but they declined her application for that reason, that they did not want her to declaw this cat when she took the cat home. So the lady was upset and disappointed that she was there to adopt a cat, and she escalated the situation to city staff and city management and things like that. So what all transpired was that this lady had a cat for 22 years that had passed away, and that's a long time for a cat to live. So obviously she's doing something right. She's taking really good care of this cat. But the reasoning behind her wanting to declaw the cat was, I guess, let's just say she had nice furniture or something like that. She had every intention of declawing this cat. And I'm not a cat person. I don't have cats. I don't spend a lot of time around cats. I know that you would not want to declaw a cat because it makes it impossible or nearly impossible for the cat to defend itself in a situation. Totally understand that. Outside of that, I know there's probably some medical reasons, just like people don't like it when you bob tails on dogs and you crop their ears and stuff like that. So I know that there's some pushback on dogs, so I assume it's the same thing for cats. So the animal shelter staff was really against adopting out this cat to a lady that was going to declaw it. So in my mind, this is a difficult situation to be in. Like the staff at the animal shelter is standing on their principles and saying, no, we need to adopt this cat out to someone that's not going to declaw it. And to me, it missed the target just in the sense that that's a secondary issue, secondary problem behind find this cat a home. That's goal number one. Goal number one is to find this cat a home. And I want, my opinion is that the city staff or the city, at the animal shelter, they did what they felt was right. They declined the application, said we don't want this cat to be declawed. But when it got escalated to a point where the city management was involved, the city management said you need to adopt this cat out to this lady. She's going to take care of it, even though she's going to declaw it. She's going to take care of it. So at the animal shelter, they were upset that this cat got adopted out with the intention that it was going to get declawed. So I understand the frustration. You don't want to lose that battle. You stand on your principles and you want to do things right. You want to do, again, you're trying to find this perfect scenario. And in life, that's just unfortunately not how it works. There is not a perfect scenario out there. And you have to, make the main thing the main thing. And the main thing is to find this cat a home. So it may not be the perfect scenario and it may not be an ideal scenario, but this cat has a home. And sadly, unfortunately, regardless of what this lady put on the application, in any other scenario, in any other adoption, the staff at the animal shelter, we have no idea what life these animals live once they're gone anyway. We just don't know. We hope and we pray that the animals are taken care of and they're treated right and they have their best life and all that. That's what we want. But the sad reality is that a lot of times that's not the case. Animals get mistreated. Animals don't get taken care of. They don't get fed properly. They don't get taken to vets properly. Whatever the case is, we don't know that, and those things still happen. So regardless of what you put on your application, regardless of how the person wanting to adopt the animal presents themselves, we have no control over what happens to that animal once it leaves. So bad things are going to happen, unfortunately, but the reality is that the staff at the animal shelter needs to win the battle by getting the animal adopted, saving its life so it doesn't have to get put down. And there's not a lot of people trying to adopt cats. That's just a reality. So this is a low scenario or a not very likely scenario where somebody's looking to adopt a cat, we need to make that pathway as easy as possible and get this cat in this lady's home, even if we don't like every single circumstance or every single part of the situation. And I also believe that the staff at the shelter did what they felt was right. Like, I feel like they won also. Like, I don't feel like it was a battle between the lady trying to adopt the cat and the city staff and the staff at the shelter. It wasn't somebody wins and somebody loses. Like, I felt like both people won. The people at the shelter voiced their concerns, they voiced their opinions, they tried to educate the city staff, city management, and they also tried to educate the lady on declawing the cat and the risk and harms that come along with that. And they stood their ground. They didn't want to adopt this cat out. They stood firm in their belief in what they believed to be right. And long story short, the cat ended up getting adopted by the lady. And I don't want the city staff or the city animal shelter to feel like they lost. They didn't. They won. This cat got adopted. That is goal number one. That is 1A all the time. Save this cat's life so it doesn't get euthanized, and make sure it finds a home. So I don't want that to me is a big win. That's a huge win. And that big win got sort of overshadowed by what may feel like a loss in some way. And I just don't feel that way because again, there is no perfect scenario. Every single issue or problem or scenario that comes our way is a matter of compromise. There is no perfect answer. And in my opinion, everybody won in this scenario, and I don't want the animal shelter to feel like they lost, even though they did their job. They did their job by doing their best to protect this cat, and they also got it adopted. That's a win-win to me. So not a perfect scenario, but it's a compromise, and everybody wins. So kind of segueing into another scenario that happened recently, the city's going through this whole thing about their contract has expired with the sanitation company that picks up all the trash in the area. So at the city council meeting, a lot of residents turned out that aren't typically there for a regular night at a city council meeting, but this involved their trash. So there were a lot of people with opinions. And everybody has an opinion. Everybody has a certain way that they want it done and a certain way that they feel is right and all this. And I agreed with most of what people said about their needs and their desires when it came to the sanitation. And again, I felt like it was a lot of people. Again, everybody's entitled to their opinion, so nobody was wrong in any scenario. Everybody was right in what they had to say. And I still felt like everybody's heart was in the right place. Everybody was coming from a good place. And I still felt like in some instances, some of those people felt like there was a perfect scenario. Like, there is not a perfect scenario in sanitation. There's 20-something thousand, residents in this city. I don't know how many houses and dumpsters and trash cans and all that stuff, or how many homes there are. There's over 20,000 residents, so there's, tons of trash cans. There's just not a perfect scenario that's going to make everybody happy. Like, how could you it's trash service. Like, it's a necessary evil. Like, it has to be done. Like, you can't just let it pile up. Like, it has to get picked up. And there has to be some sort of compromise. Like, it's not going to be perfect for every single buddy. It's not like, when you go to Starbucks and you give them your order that it's made to your liking. Like, sanitation is just not one of those things. It's not going to be made to your liking. And some people are going to like it. Some people are not going to care. And some people are going to hate it. But there is no perfect scenario. It's a compromise. And in life, so many things are like that. And when I finally started looking at it that way, rather than me constantly trying to stubbornly force my belief or my decision or whatever image I had in my mind of the scenario, how it needed to be or how it needed to end or whatever the result needed to be from all of this activity or this work, once I gave up the idea of perfection and started keeping the main thing, hey, the main thing is get this cat adopted, get this cat a home so we don't have to euthanize it, and then give up on the idea that there's a perfect scenario for 20-something thousand residents when it comes to their sanitation, their trash pickup. Like, okay, well, there's no perfect solution. So what are we going to do? What can we do? So I kind of circle back to the political thing. Like, this is how I look at a lot of things now. I'm no longer in pursuit of perfection. There's some areas of my life that I try to perfect, like I have a hard time letting go. I'm kind of stubborn. Like, I try to perfect certain things, but the reality is that again, I let perfection get in the way of progress, and now I'm starting to focus more on progress. Like, are we doing the main things? Are we doing the big things? And there's going to be some things that aren't perfect. Like, I'm not in love with a lot of stuff that happens around me, and I have to deal with that. Like, we don't all just get what we want. Like, that's not how life works. Like, there's billions of people on this planet, and not everybody can just do whatever they want whenever they want. Like, it sounds like a great idea, but unfortunately there has to be a power structure. There has to be a judicial system. I can't even talk. There has to be a still can't say it. There has to be a judicial system. There has to be rules and regulations and policies and teamwork and people working together and people solving problems. Like, it can't just be every man for himself. So what else do I got? Oh, so tying that kind of into my next thing I want to talk about is perception and perspective. So I'm really good at giving people my perspective. My perspective is this. My perspective is this. And my lost the word, perception. My perception is, I'm really good at telling people how I view and see the world and how I view and see what the result or the outcome should be. It's not until like I start thinking about other people's perspective that I even really consider another way to think about it. Like, and it's this is a goofy example, but I unload and load furniture all the time. This is just part of my job at the furniture store, is loading and unloading, box trucks, pickup trucks, trailers, And I've done it 1,000 times, maybe more. I don't know, a lot. Done it a lot. And it's, customers come pick up one piece, they come pick up a house full. They're in a truck, they're in a trailer. Like, it's always a different scenario. But I've done it so many times. Like, I have like sort of a system that I do it. I have a way to, stack it. I have a way to strap it. I have like sort of a system that I use. What happens a lot is people will come to pick up their furniture and they aren't as experienced in this particular area, and they're not loading furniture every single day. They're not unloading furniture every single day, but they sort of have a vision in their mind of how this is going to go with the pieces and how they're going to load it on their vehicle, because that's their perspective. Their perspective is, I'm driving this Dodge Ram and I'm picking up this 84-inch TV console, and I brought blankets and I brought this and I brought that. Like, they have a picture in their mind of how this load is going to look before they even arrive. Well, to me, I've already done it 1,000 times. So the picture I have in my mind, because I've done it so many times, may not align with what they have in their mind. And this happens all the time. So I'm, politely and nicely, like when I'm trying to help them load their furniture, I'm trying to give them, my perception and my perspective of what needs to happen to make this as smooth and as easy and as, as reliable as I've done it as many times as I can, or I have. I'm trying to get you home safely where you don't have any issues or problems. They want to explain to me how they want it done. Finally, there's times where I'm just like, okay, like I'm not going to argue with this person. I'm not going to, get them frustrated or get them upset. If they want to put it in a different way that's less secure or, less efficient or whatever the case is, like, okay, we'll do it your way. Like, I don't have to win anymore. Like, I used to have to find a way to make this person in one way or another do it my way, because I know that my way is right. Like, my way is the right way. Now, as long as, if they want to do it their way, that's fine. I'll help them do it their way. As long as I don't feel like they're going to break something or something's going to fall out or whatever the case is, I'll just do it their way. It takes longer. It's slightly harder. It's probably not the most efficient or effective way, but that's okay. I don't have to be right, because I have to understand it from their perspective. They want it to look a certain way. It's their furniture. It's their vehicle. It's their trailer. Okay, we'll do it your way. And again, that's sort of me just backing off of what my perception is. My perception is doing it this same way all the time and seeing it from their perspective. Like, okay, well, they don't do this every day, so they're going to have a different opinion. Their perception is different. Their perspective is different. I'm just going to let them win, I guess, because what does it matter to me that we do it my way? Why do I have to put the furniture in the truck my way? If it works, if it gets it in the truck, and we can strap it down, nothing falls out, nothing breaks, hey, it's a win-win. Not my way, but it's done. Like, and that's a small little goofy scenario of what I mean by I just finally got to a point. Again, I'm not at all perfect at this. I still, push my viewpoint, push my perception on people and my perspective and what I think is right. I still have an opinion, but I'm learning to listen better. I'm learning to figure out that my way is not the only way. And lots of people have lots of different experience. And if I listen, I can learn something. I can pick something up. Um, and and very often, like, that's the key, is just listening and like, oh, okay, well, maybe my way is not the only way, or maybe my way is not the right way. Um, Another goofy example. This is funny. Like, so I didn't know that coffee cakes were made of like cinnamon, sugar, whatever, until I was like in my 30s. Like, I just saw them on the shelf and it said coffee cake, and I was like, oh, that's freaking disgusting. Like, who would want to eat a piece of cake that tastes like coffee? Like, that's horrible. That's awful. So I didn't find out until my 30s that coffee cakes are like cinnamon sugar bits of heaven. Like, if I would have known this when I was younger, I probably would be really obese and probably have diabetes, because I would have eaten so many of these things. They're delicious and they're awesome. And I don't know why they even call them coffee cakes. That's a horrible decision. But my perception of what a coffee cake is was so far off base. Like, I didn't even know what a coffee cake was. Like, but my perception and my viewpoint, my perspective of a coffee cake was so far off the radar that it wasn't even accurate. It wasn't true. It wasn't real. But that's sort of how I look at things now. Like, that's a stupid example, but the reality is, like, if I'm ever not understanding something, or if I'm ever not sure of something, or if I'm even new to something, like, I take a little extra time, and somewhere in the back of my mind, like, coffee cakes is kicking around, like, hey, let's not miss out on something here. Like, listen to this and pay attention to what this person's saying, or take a little extra time to read into this, because you might miss out on something great for a really long time. Like, you might be missing out on coffee cakes. Like, how horrible of an existence that I live for 20 something years thinking coffee cakes were made of like a coffee cracker. Like, I know it's a stupid example, but the reality is, like, I think about that example all the time whenever I have to sort of slow myself down, slow my mind down, slow my pushing my opinion and my perception, my perspective out on other people. Like, just because I think something doesn't make it true. Just because I think something doesn't make it right. And just because I think something about something or somebody or whatever the case is, doesn't mean that that is true and correct and accurate, or there's not more to the story. So I know that's a goofy example, but I think about coffee cakes all the time. Like, what else am I missing out on? What else did I judge in a way has prevented me from something great, or prevented me from enjoying something good? Or whether it's a dessert or a food or an opinion or whatever the case is, I built a box in my mind and put coffee cakes in this disgusting category that I'm never going to eat, never going to try, never going to buy. I missed out on it because of my perception, my perspective. So, plenty of time. But anyway, I say that just as an example of, it's a stupid example, but coffee cakes. I think about that all the time, especially when I'm trying to learn something new, listen to something, is if I don't take in everything I can possibly take in about this, or learn, or pay attention, or watch, listen, whatever the case is, I may be missing out on something completely fantastic. And this idea, this opinion might completely change my life for the better. And I'm blocking it out because I think it's irrelevant, or I think it doesn't matter, or I think this person doesn't know as much as I do, or, I think I'm smarter than this person. I think I'm better than this person, or whatever the case is. And I could be missing out on something amazing, incredible, fantastic, that could change the course of my life for the better, could change my thinking for the better. But I think about coffee cakes all the time. So yeah, that's a stupid example, but that's my example of, don't miss out on something great because of your perception, your perspective, when you can listen, learn, pay attention, pick up something new, and don't count anything out, even if it sounds like it's a gross, disgusting coffee cracker. And one last thing I'll touch on before I get out of here. I don't even know if I can package this story into something coherent or intelligible. I don't know. So somebody I know made a Facebook post recently that somebody had come to his door and in the daytime and like had rang his doorbell. Some strange woman he didn't know was ringing his doorbell repeatedly. He thought it was strange. So him and his wife both have that app on their phone where they can see somebody's ringing the bell. They didn't even respond to the lady, but they're texting. The guy is texting his wife like, "Hey, do you see this person? What's this lady doing? This is weird." Whatever, whatever they said between him and his wife, but neither one of them responded to this lady on their porch ringing their doorbell. So the lady leaves and comes back later. Rings doorbell again, and he's, the homeowner, this guy I know, is like frustrated. He's like, "What is this lady doing at my house? Why is she ringing my doorbell?" So he does respond to the lady through the speaker on the camera, like, "Hey, and she's like, "Hey, are you Anthony?" And he's like, "Yeah, I'm Anthony." She's like, "Oh, I found your driver's license," and she holds up his driver's license. She had found his driver's license at a gas station, nowhere near his house, by the way, and had driven from her, wherever they were at that gas station, to his house to hand deliver him his driver's license that he didn't even know he lost. So I should have added that to the conversation. He dropped it at a gas station. He did not know that he dropped it. And while he's at work, doing his normal day, this lady tracks him down and hand delivers his driver's license, not once, but twice. And the first time, and particularly the second time, him and his wife are texting. They're like frustrated. Like, who is this lady? What is she doing on our porch? Who does she think she is? Like, they're just going back and forth. Like, hey, there's some nutty lady on our porch ringing our doorbell. Wonder what she's up to. She's, and he made this post, and he was very, very clear. He told this entire story at the very end of it, how much guilt and shame he felt because he judged this lady and was mean and rude, or whatever the case he was with his wife, or his thoughts. Maybe it was just internally his thoughts of this person. Like, who does this person think they are? What do they think they're doing? Da, 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 da. And this person is the exact person like you would want. I mean, she's doing the nicest possible thing. That the kindest thing you could ever wish or hope for if you lost something valuable was that person to literally bring it to your house, especially when it's not even close to where they found it. Bring it to your house to you. Hand deliver this to you, not once but twice. But he goes on to this post, and it's a great post, but he goes on to say, you know what, shame on me. I'm embarrassed to say that, but this is the reality. I'm a human being, and I made this mistake by judging this woman and thinking, get off my porch, or whatever the case is. And he just said, hey, you know what, I pray that God makes me more like her and less like me. And that was like a tremendous message. And I saw that yesterday, I think, and I've just been thinking about that a lot in the past day or so. But that's an incredible message because I could relate to it. I could see myself being him. I'm like that all the time. I'm constantly passing judgment on people. I'm thinking, this person's in my way. This person's too slow. This person's not, giving me whatever it is I think they should give me right now, whatever the case is. And it's oftentimes like the most kind, gentle, giving, caring, benevolent person that you could ever possibly meet. And we just blow them off and we just judge them based on their appearance or their timing or what we think they want. Like he probably thought she wanted something from him. He thought this lady's over here begging or asking for something or selling something. He thought she wanted something from him. And that is so me. Like, I'm very standoffish. I'm very cold. I'm very abrasive. And a lot of times it's because I'm constantly thinking somebody wants something from me. Somebody wants something from me. And if I would just shut my mouth, open my mind, open my heart, the people that I'm pushing away are probably the people that I need in my life. And I really feel like that's sort of the message he was trying to get out there was make me more like her and less like me. So if you get the chance, be a good person. If you can't find a good person, be a good person. But that's all I got for tonight. I ramble on. I'm the mouth of the South. I'll go on forever and ever and ever. So I don't know if I said anything of value or anything important tonight, but I do appreciate y'all for listening. Really appreciate y'all for watching. Thanks for the feedback. Anything you want to hear about, let me know. If I talk too fast, if I miss something, whatever the case is, if you want to hear more about something or less about something, I'm all ears. Let me know. But I appreciate y'all for paying attention. And just try to remember coffee cakes and remember Anthony's story. So don't judge people. and be more like them and less like you. I know that's hard to think about, but that's deep. All right, y'all take care. Have a good week, and we will see you later. Oh, yeah. Love each other. Bye.